Welcome to this webinar session looking at GitLab for DevSecOps. Quite exciting, actually, talking through some of the capabilities. I'd be quite keen to find out from you who is quite familiar within the space, or where exactly it may be a new topic for some of you. The interesting thing is we're talking about a topic that favors techies amongst the audience, but at the same time, we are taking a business stance to it, right? So that's really exciting. Just by way of introduction, you want to jump into the next slide there. My name is Mervyn George. I will be facilitating this chat, sharing my perspective or view as well, where it makes sense. We'll be leaning on Donovan, sitting over here, to share a lot of his expertise in terms of experience within development, within testing, within security, and specifically within applying GitLab and related systems across his professional background. So really excited about today. If you do want to ask any questions, obviously we've got the chat box that is available. I see one hand up. Was that a question or any comment that you wanted to raise? Is that Leslo or Nolo? Or was it just saying hello? Okay, probably just saying hello. Hi. Thank you.
Hello.
Okay, if there are any questions, feel free to use the chat box. There's also a Q&A box. What we've also created, if you don't want to have your questions visible to the broader audience, is a WhatsApp chat option. So you can send that WhatsApp chat directly to the link that's in the chat box, and that will come through on the side, and we'll keep those anonymous. Okay, with that, let's kick off. What we'd like to do is first take a look at, move on to the next one. What we'd like to do is first talk a little bit about the software development lifecycle. So Donovan, in your view, we're looking at an oversimplification of the software development lifecycle. Tell us a little bit about it, especially where you see potential issues that pop up, be it from a dev consistency perspective or quality assurance perspective, maybe even from a security perspective.
All right. Hi everyone. Okay, so yeah, sticking with the theme, DevSecOps in the SDLC, or the software development lifecycle. So in my opinion, quality has several facets to it these days. The absence of defects, the application adhering to the specification or what client expects, and also now a function of security and vulnerabilities. So clients having to have secure applications, or your customers or your own internal applications to your internal users having to be secure. And in today's day and age, I'm sure you're aware, the ransomware attacks seem to be rife at the moment. And us as who are in DevOps, DevSecOps, or let's call it software quality, it's our responsibility to sort of educate our clients as to what they can do, and for us to operate from a perspective of security. So in the SDLC, where does it fit in? I'm not going to go into business requirements and functional requirements. We're just going to start from writing code. These days, in my opinion, developers should be using packages. If they're consuming third-party packages from, let's say, from PyPy or Maven or from any other source out there, those packages should, at a minimum, be scanned for known vulnerabilities throughout the development lifecycle, and devs should be doing this, because they're going to be introducing these packages. They should be doing it, but they should be able to do that. So in the deployment pipeline, there should be phases for scanning those packages. However, it shouldn't just be a once-off scan. Once a package is scanned or some software has been scanned, it should be continuously scanned, because what is unknown today could be known tomorrow. So a 0-day exploit, an exploit is 0-day today, but tomorrow it's known. So these scans need to be run constantly. Other areas where devs should also be sort of held accountable is writing secure code, and not by following standard software development practices. So at the method level, declaring things as private and not necessarily just public all over the show throughout the code base. And then obviously the code lands in the repository. Once it lands in the repository, it should be scanned. During the based on branches, your branching strategy, maybe you don't want to slow down development too much, so your scans can become more and more exhaustive the more mature your code base is. So going from a feature branch to a dev branch to a master branch, or if you're following a trunk-based strategy during tagging events. And then quality in this case is an overall thing from dev right through to deployment, etc. So quality, again, we're taking the security or vulnerabilities into consideration, and you know we can use many different types of packages, from a WASP to other common tools such as Clear Scanner, etc. Right, to add that security and vulnerability scanning to your product.
Okay.
Or to your product. Yeah.
So I'll get to a question that's just come through on the WhatsApp line. Just a reminder, if you have got questions that you want to keep anonymous, there's a WhatsApp link you can use. I'll put a question out to those that are live on the call at the moment. Who here is currently using GitLab? If you are, just give a thumbs up or some kind of icon. In the meantime, what we'll do is look at this question. So the question is, are any development teams still working without a single repository of code out there? Have you noticed that? Is that even possible nowadays?
You can work with multiple code repositories, right? It depends on, you could be working on multiple projects, multiple clients, etc. Right? So, or you can have one code base, one repository for an application, or depending on what you're doing, if you're doing writing a Java-based project, you can have multi-module Maven projects, where you have a parent project and several modules within that, and each module will be compiled as its own independent, let's call it a dependency. So I guess it's a horses for courses approach, depending on the application, depending on the clients, or the multiple client sites or multiple projects.
What's the potential negative business impact of not following a robust framework or using a platform to manage this process?
You could introduce the risk into the software delivery pipeline. Risk being third-party dependencies, or your own code not being scanned for known vulnerabilities, or adhering to best practices. And that makes it into production.
So bugs into production.
Like bugs that exist in dependencies that you pull in third-party dependencies. As an example, about 18 months ago, the entire Java world had to jump when a known vulnerability in log4j became known, right? And log4j is a login framework, and it's the most common login framework used in Java applications. And there are billions of devices running Java, so the world was exposed. And everyone had to react and fix it, right?
Okay, so that means patches to introduce those changes and those updates.
Recently, I think about 6 months ago, there was a large data breach, one of the largest in the US. Right? There was a known vulnerability in Apache struts, and that vulnerability was known for about 3 to 4 months. Before this specific company or organization was breached.
Okay.
Right?
So there's no excuse. That's laziness, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's his laziness given today's technology and what exists out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like for those on the call right now, there is a mixed level of familiarity with GitLab. Many not actually that familiar. So we're going to play a little intro video so that you have an understanding of what GitLab offers.
Is the faster path from idea to software. It's more than a code repository. It's one workflow that brings development, security, and operations teams together. No walls, no endless feedback loops. GitLab integrates with the tools you already know and love, and it lets you eliminate the rest to help reduce costs and boost productivity at the same time without trade-offs. With GitLab, teams can build software faster, automate software delivery, shorten cycle times, and increase developer productivity. And security is built in, not bolted on. Scan for vulnerabilities with every code push, automatically. It's the entire development process, all in the same place where everyone works. Because we're on this path together. The path from idea to collaboration to higher performing teams. With one comprehensive, innovation-driving, fast and secure DevSecOps platform. Software faster. GitLab.
That makes perfect sense. If you move on to the next slide, we're going to talk about one platform for a little bit. One of the questions that comes through on the WhatsApp line as well, asking the same, actually referring to current use of multiple tools. Tell us a little bit about your background. What have you observed in this quest for a single platform versus the use of different tools across that development lifecycle?
So, in my personal experience, working on several projects, including a large big data project for a telco. To accomplish our software delivery pipeline, to support it, to build it, we had to integrate several tools: Jenkins, Nexus, SonarQube, a bunch of other tools to achieve a deployment pipeline, right? And this is sort of for microservices. So we had up to 7 different tools in this pipeline. And you know, the pipeline is a bit brittle based on these integration points between the various tools. Jenkins sort of was orchestrator, etc., and you had to have all these tools and many plugins that you have to install for Jenkins for these various tools, and you know, be version changes, upgrades, or whatever to the tools that you strung together.
Yeah, so managing multiple tools and their versions and
and having to upgrade Jenkins, and you have to go through this whole upgrade process of all these tools, right?
Yeah.
So managing the pipeline, you know, it had a significant maintenance overhead. When actually you just wanted your devs to be able to write code quickly, efficiently. The code is assessed for the various types of quality issues, and then passes all the tests and merges straight into production. So, and I came across GitLab, and initially, I was skeptical about GitLab because I actually enjoyed this the quagmire of all these tools.
I can imagine once you figure it out, it's a pretty powerful feeling knowing that you know how everything works, right?
Exactly, and it felt, you know, it stroked my ego.
Yeah.
the DevSecOps, because the DevOps engineer, he knows how to manage this world, right? When actually the DevSecOps engineer or the DevOps engineer, your role is enablement, right? So looking at the GitLab platform, initially I was skeptical, but then I started to work with it, and I've decided, based on my experience, the single app DevSecOps or DevOps platform is the way to go.
Okay.
I was no longer stressing about delivering services or product into whatever target environments.
Yeah.
The team's confidence rose significantly. Because they were getting the constant feedback that they needed. procurement loved it because instead of having to pay for 7 licenses, you pay for 1 license to get
Okay.
all that function.
And what is the changeover like? Out of interest, is it quite a complex process?
Not necessarily. It depends really on how complex your deployment pipelines are.
Okay.
But with GitLab's approach using the YAML-based definition of your pipelines,
Yeah.
and they've introduced certain ways to reuse and apply sort of OO principles to building your pipelines.
Yeah.
It made it quite easy.
Okay. OO being object oriented, right?
Being object orientated, but I'm not not polymorphism or anything like that, but just you could introduce abstraction into your pipelines to make certain components reusable across many different pipelines.
So making it somewhat repeatable. So kind of set up once, reuse multiple times. So
exactly
leverages scale in that case.
Exactly.
There's actually a question here about different license types. We'll talk a little bit about the free trial that's available, and there's a link that you can get to later. But I assume there are different license types.
Yeah, there's the free tier, there's premium, and then there's ultimate. So you could say premium is more DevOps.
Yeah.
Some security stuff. When I say some, there's actually a significant amount of security and vulnerability components or functions within the GitLab platform. Ultimate is DevOps, DevSecOps. You have everything in there, right?
Okay. We're going to watch a little demo video just to talk you through an example of that software lifecycle, and you'll get a sense of how GitLab offers value across that value chain.
GitLab is the open DevOps platform changing how you deliver software. Whether you're working solo, on a small team, or for a large enterprise, our single application scales with you to provide unparalleled collaboration, visibility, and development velocity. Let's take a closer look at how GitLab helps teams collaborate, iterate, and quickly deliver predictable results that serve their customers' needs. Aaron, a VP of App Dev, is reviewing performance metrics on a GitLab dashboard and notices a downturn in subscriber growth. Concerned with the impact this could have on new business opportunities, they use app integrations to open an issue with a screenshot of the troubling metrics, notifying Parker, the product manager. Because everyone is connected and collaborating seamlessly within a single application, Parker is able to begin taking action right away. Meanwhile, Delaney, the dev team lead, sees the new issue and suggests that the drop in subscribers could be caused by recent changes to the website. That reminds Parker of an old issue that could help identify the potential culprit, an error in the mobile UI. Parker reviews the issue board, finds the mobile UI issue, and removes it from the backlog, making the fix a priority for the team. With the problem identified, the team collaborates to get all of the necessary people on board to make the fix, despite them being distributed across the globe. Delaney opens a design issue and assigns it to Presley, the product designer. Soon Presley completes a redesign of the mobile website, uploads it, and tags Sasha, a developer, for review. Because everyone has access to the same information in GitLab, team silos are broken down, making cross-functional collaboration faster and easier. After some discussion, Sasha begins coding updates in the web IDE and creates a merge request when she's ready to push a first round of changes to the mobile UI. Sasha's commit triggers the GitLab CI pipeline, a series of automated steps that build, test, and validate code before it's merged into production. Security scanners embedded in the workflow ensure that vulnerabilities are not introduced into the code, while mandatory unit testing provides another layer of protection to ensure the new changes will be implemented properly before the code is pushed to production. When the pipeline passes, Devin, the team's DevOps engineer, and Delaney review the code. Then Parker tests it in a safe environment before deploying. Once the updates are made, the dev team uses GitLab's monitoring tools to determine if the code revisions resulted in the desired outcome. And it's a success. The team can see that the subscriber numbers are back on the rise thanks to the mobile UI updates. With GitLab, the team was able to quickly collaborate, innovate, and resolve a potentially costly business problem. Now it's your turn. How can GitLab transform the way you deliver software? Sign up for a free trial and find out today. GitLab. Iterate faster, innovate together.
So just an example of, yeah, you can leave it there, it's fine. So just an example of the collaboration aspect. I'm going to assume before GitLab, you'd be using an independent collaboration tool and adding links to wherever people need to go and resolve, right?
Yeah, so you could be using Jira,
Mm.
right, or the equivalent of Jira for that collaboration. Yeah.
Okay. What I liked about that was almost this, you know, you talk about a single view of customer 360 view, a lot of companies are looking for. That's almost like a single view of app, you know, app 360 view, so that you can see who's working on it, where it's at, and what kind of collaboration within a flow needs to take place. So, so where would somebody start? Let's say somebody's listening to this discussion, they like what they've heard. Where or how do they start the conversation?
I'd say if they want to start using GitLab, download the free trial.
Okay.
And engage with us to help you get them started. Do a 1 hour quick start session.
Okay.
Help them to automate a simple pipeline, and then the rest is up to them.
And for anyone who's not ready to get their hands dirty, is there more of a stock take or assessment of maturity or where they're at that would help?
Yeah, we do maturity assessments. You can do an assessment of the current software development process.
Yeah.
With the object of identifying opportunities to introduce efficiencies or efficiencies that increases the quality of the product and increases their confidence of going live.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Just do a last call. Any questions on the chat there? I'll have a look here as well. Okay. Tariq's put one in the chat message. Is there a golden approach for deciding on a mono or repository? If I were to separate microservices in multiple repos, would this require me to have shared libraries in its own CI/CD pipeline? And then a sub question, would it simplify the dev lifecycle to have microservices in one solution directed to libraries shared in one solution?
Maybe I'll start answering a question from looking at the microservices architecture, right? So we're just going to look at, let's just take Kubernetes with Kubernetes pods, Docker containers, right? So the code that is going to run in a Docker image, right? Or container once it's spinned up, right? There you can follow a certain, the release, again, horses for courses, you can follow one way the code is baked into the container or into the Docker image, and that Docker image goes into a container, into a container registry, and that is the build artifact of your for that specific part of the service. Now, one or many containers could form a product or a service, right? So each container doing one thing. Okay, one container is your API, one container is a front end, one container connects to a database, one container handles authentication, etc. Right? And all of that can be put into one Kubernetes pod, where that represents your application.
Okay.
Right? And each of those can be in its own, the code for each container in that Kubernetes pod can be in its own repo.
Yeah.
Right? Or can all be in the same repo where you following again with Java, maybe following a multi-module Maven project.
Yeah.
Right? Given what I explained earlier. If it's in Python, you can have various application directories in the same, all in the same code repo.
Okay.
As for sharing dependencies or sharing, sharing dependencies, That's yeah, you can have global dependencies, local dependencies, etc. So the multi-module Maven project, they all getting dependencies from your M2 directory, so same place.
Yeah.
And it's something similar for PyPy for Python based applications.
Okay.
Right?
Tariq, I see there's a reaction. I assume that's answered the question. Is there a time where you'd favor one approach over the other? In terms of single repos or multiple repos? That is developer preference or
That's a development team preference.
Okay.
So a strong development team that adheres to proper software engineering principles.
Yeah.
They can go for trunk-based, so single
Okay.
repo, right?
Okay.
With no branching.
Okay.
Right? Multiple repositories. Again, horses for courses. The team decides whether we're going to have a single repo with multi-modules, etc., or we're going to have a repo per application or per functional unit of a service.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do a last call for questions or comments from the group. Tariq, I assume that answered your question. If not, please let us know. But I'll do last call for questions. In the meantime, maybe just a little expression of confidence in the team at Kinetic Skunk. I believe it's Kinetic Skunk holds the highest number of certified engineers. Is it within EMEA?
Yeah, within
GitLab. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a platform that the team has chosen to back. Good
Absolutely.
choice. Good choice.
Best choice. Best choice I've made with respect to software development and DevOps.
Awesome.
Within your organization.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to leave the call to action out there. If you want to have a follow-up one-on-one chat about the platform, about where to start, obviously the free trial link is there. You can scan the QR code and we'll share it on the LinkedIn page as well. Stay tuned for any follow-up sessions. We'll delve a bit deeper into DevSecOps and a bit more around GitLab, especially aspects around security and related. Donovan, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye everybody.